Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a 10-game slate here on Friday night. Nate, lots to choose from. In this one, we are talking about the Heat. They're in Washington, D.C., taking on the Wizards. Also have another game video up about Nate's C's taking on the Pellies in New Orleans, and our player props video. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page so you can continue to follow along with us as we bring you these videos each and every weekday of this NBA season. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Have our great written content on there for you guys all season long, and our odds finder tool so you can make sure that you are shopping those lines to the best of your ability across U.S. sportsbooks. Nate, let's go ahead and get into these lines and then talk Heat and Wizards.
Yeah, I mean, that is the first game on the slate here. We got the Heat basically in a pick 'em. -1 right now at Washington. Still waiting on the status of Bam. Tyler Hero's out. Then we got Hornets +10 at the Cavs. Bucks +2 at the Sixers. Thunder +6.5 at Memphis. They just got Triple J back. We'll see if he can help slow down SGA and those fighting Thunder. The Magic still without Paolo, but Wendell Carter expected to play. Are +9 at Chicago. A little revenge narrative there for a few guys. The Pacers are -5 at Houston. Nuggets +8.5 at Dallas without Jokic. Celtics is the other game we break down. They're -3 at the Pelicans. Right now the total at 227. And that's a little low for any Celtics game right now, so that's our angle there. Suns are -1.5 at the Jazz, and then the Pistons +7 at the Lakers. But yeah, Miami -1. You obviously are going to feel way more confident if you know Bam Adebayo is going to play. He only has missed one game with a knee contusion, so it's not necessarily something you'd expect him to sit out too long with. And if you happen to bet this before you get official word and then you're sitting with Miami at close to a pick'em, you should feel really good because they just started to take off with Bam leading the charge in their last three. They had won 3 in a row. I mean, the offense was just unbelievable. 120 offensive rating, hitting 13.5 threes at 36%, 40% in those last 3 games. It took an OG Anunoby career night for them to snap that streak, and that was without Bam there to patrol the paint. This is just a match. This is a big brother, little brother matchup, right, in the division. Washington never really has had enough to threaten the Heat. They've lost 4 of their last 5 against Miami. There was a win in there, 103-100. In Washington, mostly because the Heat couldn't score. They're 7 for 27 from 3. KCP was probably the second best player for Washington in that game. Also, Spencer Dinwiddie, big game. That was a different kind of iteration of the Wizards, who are now they're starting to percolate a little bit too. I mean, they had won 4 straight before welcoming Beal back from COVID protocols, and then they lose on a buzzer beater to the white hot SGA. But I mean, none of their big 3, if you will, their mediocre 3, I guess you could say, have a lot of success against Miami at all. Beal in his last 5, 22.5 points, but horrible efficiency, 97 offensive rating. He's a -61 his last 5 against Miami. Kuzma, since joining the Wizards, solid offensive performances, 14.5 points, but 122 defensive rating, -60 on his plus-minus. And then Porzingis, a couple games with Dallas and with New York, 16 points, 102 rating. So I don't really expect them to be able to keep pace, and you can't pack the paint and dare Miami to beat you from deep anymore. Like, that's how their only recipe for success in those recent matchups. And now Max Strus and Gabe Vincent are the walking personification of Miami's incredible farm system, and they're both just providing incredible consistency from the perimeter. Jimmy Butler is playing games. I mean, that's really all you have to say is he's actually out there, and he's not sitting with minor injuries, and he's out there providing winning plays down the stretch. And that makes you feel really confident when you bet on them. I haven't even really mentioned Tyler Hero is out. but that didn't matter. They beat Washington without Hero in one of those recent matchups and without Bam in one of those recent matchups. So for me, it's just Jimmy Butler led team, instilling that toughness, Eric Spoelstra coach team, and then three guys on the other end that just haven't had much success against that recipe.
Yeah, this one makes me nervous. I smacked the Raptors as soon as Bam was out. Bam, and you need more than what they are able to put out there when they don't have Bam and Tyler Hero. And Hero's obviously on the offensive end, Bam's on the defensive end, but it's really mostly on the defensive end because even when Hero's not in there, you've got Max Strus, who's like gonna get paid after this season if he keeps playing at the rate that he's playing so far this season, which is super well, especially when he actually gets in there and gets minutes, and he keeps coming in and really like demanding time. Like you can't continue to sit him as he's doing all the other things, career high in rebounds and assists as well so far this season. So I don't know. I'm nervous though about Miami on the road as the away team so far this season, 1-4 against the spread there, failing to cover by just a couple points. It's all sort of just like on the fringe. Like I can't see this game being very, very more than a double-digit spread or at the end of it. I do think that this is going to be a close game, as is wont to happen between these teams quite often when they're both at full strength, and that's obviously the key to me is what happens with and without Bam. And their defensive rating a little bit worse. Obviously, points in the paint a little bit easier to come by. You start looking at guys like Zinger and even like Kyle Kuzma's rebound stats, things like that when you see Bam out. So I'm kind of looking for some ways to bet this. I might consider some Strus props here as well. I also like Caleb Martin when Hero's out, as he comes in and definitely plays a lot in the second unit, and then also was actually in crunch time lineups against the Raptors the other night. So with this one, like we're saying here, especially if Beal's playing, he comes back, and it's still like it's not like you were saying in that last game where we were talking about Washington, like Beal coming, or I'm sorry, you were talking about Porzingis' player prop, talking about the Wizards through that lens, saying like still take Porzingis' props, which hit because Beal isn't the same sort of aggressive player that he was when he was playing for a contract that he now has, right? And part of the reason I think we all know he didn't want to leave Washington was he knew that he was going to continue to get paid there and be the man no matter what. And there comes a level of human just sort of like rest on your laurels a little bit once you get that stuff. So with all of that in mind, like Kuzma's on an absolute tear, as we know, and is trying to like lead the league in rebounding essentially from his like smallish, powerish forward position, depending on which lineup is in there and where you've got Porzingis lined up. But that's really more where I lean in this one. Might consider some points, but I don't feel nearly as comfortable. And if Bam's in there, I want to hit those heat, really is what I'm saying, and the difference that he creates. But if he's not, now I'm starting to look at what I can kind of rely on for player props when I know that Bam and Hero are both out for that team.
Well, I'm trying to forecast that he will play, and if he doesn't, Nikola Jovic is in there at least, and he had a solid start against the Raptors. I mean, look, the Raptors are just a much tougher team to face than the Wizards, right? It's not the same challenge at all. I mean, granted, Washington's starting hot just like they did last year, but you look at some of the numbers. I mean, fourth worst assist to turnover ratio allowed, fourth highest 3-point percentage allowed. They do buckle down in the paint. They stop fast break points and free throws. But Miami, when you talk about those execution numbers, assist to turnover and 3-pointers, that's where Miami's gonna roast you. I mean, those are the numbers that basically say how well do you guard set plays and this kind of sets that Spoelstra runs to get his guys open shots, and they're hitting them right now. I think the offense will be good enough. And that the Wizards offense, which is 25th in points and 3-pointers and 24th in free throw attempts, they can't match that. They got to win ugly, and right now Miami's comfortable playing ugly. They can win a low scoring game as well, but right now they're playing really well offensively. Like I said, that 120 rating, even with Bam out for one of those 4 games, and Washington last year didn't really win too many unexpected games, 21-39 straight up as underdogs since last year. So I think Miami can handle this one.
Yeah, I'm with you, and we talked about liking it. I don't love all these Eastern Conference middling teams, and I kind of consider Miami a middling team right now until they show me otherwise, or until they have their full unit. But like you said, if Bam's in there, and that's what everything you were just talking about is based on that, right? So I'm totally with you on that stretch. I do want to point out to everyone the slight caution flag of just check out to see who's playing. I kind of got burned, or we got burned by Keldon Johnson randomly just not playing tonight against on the Spurs, and us really looking forward to some of his props that did not hit. Although plenty of those have hit, and we are looking forward to bringing you tonight's props as well. So continue to like and subscribe to that page. Follow along with us for these game videos and those player props that, like I said, will continue to stay well above 500 for you guys on. And until we see you next, happy betting.